Welcome to the Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of herbal medicine and natural healing. I'm your host, Demetria Clark, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey of discovery. At Heart of Herbs Herbal School, we're passionate about empowering individuals to harness the power of plants for health and wellness. Through our podcast, we'll dive into topics ranging from herbal materia medicas, clinical herbalism, sharing insights, interviews, tips, and wisdom to inspire and educate our listeners. Hi, this is Demetria Clark, the director of Heart of Herbs Herbal School. And today on the Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast, we are talking to Gwendy Klise. Now, Gwendi is really cool because she's a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist specializing in something that I talk about a lot in our classroom, especially when students are getting ready to embark on a new business or a new offering or learning how to take the next step in their herbal studies or their aromatherapy studies, and that's confidence. And you guys know that I really believe that confidence is something that you can create for yourself, that you can have breakthroughs. And so Gwendy talks about this. She helps people get out of their head and start believing in themselves and their abilities. And you guys know that I love that kind of stuff. I love the fact that she can help people bust down walls, break barriers. She's based in London, and she's run an online business for the past 10 years about this. So I'm going to let her introduce herself to you guys and explain a little bit about what she does before we dive in and start asking all kinds of great questions. So Gwendi, please say hey to everyone.
Hi, Demetria. Hi, everyone. I am so happy that you invited me today because I love herbs, to be honest. I'm a bit of a gardener. I haven't told you this, but I do actually, I believe in plants for sure. And what you say about confidence is so cool. And I love the way that you're so positive about it. And I can imagine how you actually cheer on your students. And anybody listening to this, confidence is, like Demetria said, it's something you create for yourself. And it's also something that people have to build up. 99% of us are not born with a full, or maybe we are born with a full confidence, but this is already going deep into the topic. Throughout our lives, there will be knocks, and sometimes these knocks can lead to a little dent in the confidence. And this is how we get onto that track of lowering the confidence a bit. And today we are all about speaking about what we can do to bring that back up and really step into it and start believing in ourselves, our abilities, our ability to study, to do business, or to do whatever. I mean, this applies, of course, to all areas of life. So yeah, that's just a thank you for having me. And what I do, I work really on the whole human in a way that I believe in. Yes, you have to change the thinking. People have a problem, and the first thing we tend to do, or I think people who are herbalists probably a bit more in tune, for sure, more in tune with nature and the body, but an ordinary people, they will start just thinking, getting into the spiraling, thinking, ruminating, overthinking. And that is good. I mean, the good thing is, what is good to calm that down and get that thinking onto a level. That's where the cognitive and part comes in, and a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist. So get the thinking in track. And then what I also like to do, obviously, get into the subconscious and access that. And I talk more about that later. And then the next step to really having that full confidence is to change your behavior and challenge yourself. The doing is part of the confidence, obviously, because you are setting yourself goals. So my approach is really holistic in that way, that I go into the thinking, into the feeling, into the physical sensations of the confidence, and into the actions.
Oh, wow. I love that. So I also run Birth Arts International, which is a doula training organization. And so I talk a lot about how I think, and I talk about this with our students too, in reference to confidence. It's like, you're born okay, right? And the world decides they're going to pull all these bricks out of your wall, right? And it sounds to me like your work is just rebuilding those walls of confidence where, when a child first says, I want to sing a song, it doesn't occur to them that the song isn't going to sound good or that it isn't worth singing or that their lyrics are going to be whatever. They're confident and they want to do it. And then it's the world that says, you don't sound good enough or your song doesn't rhyme or whatever. And it sounds to me like the work that you do is really helping people put those walls back up and overcoming their limiting beliefs. So can you start by explaining your theory of overcoming limiting beliefs and its key principles?
Yeah, sure. So I think the way we are saying limiting beliefs because we know that's a concept, but in real life, people will just encounter a situation that bothers them, where they maybe wish could I act differently? Why am I doing this? Something is holding me back. For example, somebody wants to be able to present to a bigger group, really in a good way and in a confident way and in a way that everybody learns. But they are holding a limiting belief in some way that makes them hold back and not be able to present. And I'm just going to give this. So this is how people suddenly notice, oh, I've got a belief I can't present to a group. I'm bad at public speaking. I'm that kind of thing. Or you just realize you have a goal and you can't reach it. This is what I've seen a lot in the business sphere. They're setting themselves a 10K goal and whatever goal. And it's so elusive. And these people, I've worked with them too. I've been there myself. Of course, we work hard, we do everything, and then we can't reach it because there's always something missing. And that is the other way where we say, oh, I can't make 10K. I can't do it consistently because I'm something, and there we know there's some sabotage going on, basically. So that's I guess, the starting point for this.
Oh, yeah, I love that. So what inspired you to develop this theory and to specifically go into this work? Was there a personal experience or insight that led you to explore this more and develop a structured approach to overcoming limiting beliefs? Or was it like just a brainstorm one day and you were like, oh my gosh, this is how I can help. This is how I can make a difference in the world. So what was your inspiration?
Yeah, it was two things, really. It was firstly that I think, also a belief again, I believe that I've really strong emotions and that it's hard for me sometimes to get a handle on them. So I feel I've been held back quite a lot in life by being overly whatever and this and that. And instead of just getting on with this or processing through it in a healthy way and doing the thing that I actually wanted to do instead of going into any kind of spiral. So that is one thing that for me, it's really necessary to work through this as a person. And so that's the, I guess, the basis. And then there was something else. Somebody in lockdown, we were chatting and she said, oh, I've been doing lots of shadow work. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting here in this flat with 3 kids and all of that. And some people are doing shadow work. So I said, listen, you can do shadow work as well. Nobody's stopping you. So I started doing exactly. So I started going into that. I read a really good book called, I've got it actually here, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. It's a nice book about shadow work in case somebody's interested. And anyway, I went in there and just delved into my shadow and I uncovered quite a few things. And obviously only do that if you have somebody to work with you through it. So I wouldn't just say anybody should just do it. So you need to be able to have a companion with that if you go there, basically.
Oh, that's great. Will you explain what you mean by shadow work for people who do not know what that means?
Yeah, I mean, the concept, it could mean a lot of things, but the way I mean it is, it's good you're asking this, it's just to get into your soul or into your unconscious, subconscious, and get to know all the parts. And this is really pertinent also to what we're going to speak about today, because yes, of course, I know I can speak to people. I love speaking to people, and that's maybe my gregarious part or my friendly part. And I know that part well, and I like that part. But then, of course, I also have a part in me that's so easily demotivated. And it's like when somebody achieves something and it's not me, I could go into a sulk. I'm better now, and I've overcome it. That is, for example, that sulky part is something that I would call a shadow, because it's something we hide. Of course, nobody's proud of that, and we don't want to. We don't put that forward. But all these parts need to come to light. Ideally, we can keep them under lock, and people function. Thousands of people function. They just lock them away and do life, right? So that's an option for us. But for somebody who wants to discover that or feels there's a need because there's so much pressure building up in them, it's good to get to know these other shadow parts of themselves, or the part I'm going to speak later, for example, the part of shame, or all these emotions. We say, I don't feel shame, nah. And then maybe when you can think, maybe there is some element of myself that I've buried so deep that maybe has some shame, and bringing that out will transform you, basically. Especially, okay, I'm going to speak later public speaking examples. I'm so excited about this whole topic. So that's shadow work.
I love that. Like I always, students will, so for me, like personally, in reference to what you were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am so boring online. I am just like, great job. I'm not very gregarious or all this stuff. And so I've been trying to, in the past year, like get out of my skin and not be so like, I don't know, afraid to live in this space, and I've been doing this for, oh gosh, 30 years now almost. So it's like, I really should be over it by now. Right. So I've been trying to really touch on the things that hold me back. And I always talk to our students about that too. In that I think sometimes you have to, arm wrestle with the dark parts of yourself, the parts that no matter what is going on, like Eeyore in his little cloud. We have to like not bring our cloud with us everywhere. And I think it's really important that you're doing work like this, because I think sometimes people think if they address the parts of themselves that they don't like, or that they want to work on, or they're missing out on opportunities for one, self-growth, but also motivation. Like some of the things that I don't necessarily always like about myself have also given me the strength to do other things too. So it's important to also embrace and understand those. So I think it's really cool that you work in that realm and that you talk to people about that. Now you have something called the brick wall metaphor. Can you explain that to us, and then illustrate, the ways that it can work against us or help us? Or how does this metaphor help individuals visualize and understand their own barriers to personal growth and success?
Okay. So I wanted to just say what you said about getting the darker parts up. Yes. And I think you mentioned you transformed one of them into a helper, into a support. Is that what?
Oh, yeah. No, I did. I absolutely.
That is exactly the thing. Maybe some people are ruminating too much, and that is a part, but that can be a pensive part. Just bring them to light, let them express, and give them their job. That basically. Just wanted to say
I love that. Give them their job. I love that, because that's what I do. Like, I'm not always very good with people. And then when people meet me, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so funny and you're so kind. But like, I stick to myself until I feel comfortable and safe. And that doesn't always work when you do public speaking and stuff like that. So I always seem to be a little standoffish, and I've really been trying to work on that. But on the other hand, that part of me that's like that allowed me to write like something like 20,000 pages of student course material over the years. So it's like you can use those things as tools if you look and understand that they're there. So I love that you encourage people to embrace the different parts of themselves that maybe in some context we feel aren't the greatest parts of ourselves, and make them become our champions. Does that make sense?
Or be part of the team.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Be part of the team. I love that.
It's really individual. Some, each person has different parts, and some could be great as the champions, and others are just a good support. But that is, of course, very individual. But you asked about the brick wall metaphor, and
Yes, I love that.
I love that you're asking me about that. And I also realized that in the beginning you said, oh, the brick wall of confidence can also be something good. So in this case, and you are right, actually, because we are meant to build a foundation. In this case, I have the brick wall as a metaphor of things that are obstacles in our way. Yeah. So basically, what happens is, let's imagine we are speaking, and you're going to love this example because I'm going to take the public speaking example, actually. So let's say you said earlier the child sings and thinks it's great and has lots of fun, it's really noisy. And then, of course, people might say, oh, can you stop? It's too loud. It's, I don't want to hear this. Or maybe people say unkinder things. Maybe siblings say unkinder things. Whatever it is, this child suddenly gets this idea, oh, I'm a bad singer, my voice isn't nice. So they feel awe. And then they stop singing and they feel shame deep somewhere. Maybe something happened, they were singing on a Christmas, whatever. It can be very banal, it can be very mundane, it can be something more traumatic, but something happened and they bury this shame about their voice. And that is underground. And we don't want to feel shame. Like I said, the shadow stuff, shame, anger, jealousy, all of those feelings, greed, sloth, all those really, I mean, I've Googled how many base feelings. Some people it's only 8. Some people say it's 28. I think the average Western person can identify 3 feelings, which is sad, mad, and glad, which I found funny. But of course, there's all these more feelings that I'm saying in inverted commas, ugly feelings. So shame, let's say shame, you bury that. And then you don't want to go there. You don't want to get it out of the ground at all because you don't want to face that shame at all. And then you just start putting a foundation stone on it. And that could be, in this case, it could be, I'm not enough. My voice isn't good enough. I'm not worthy, maybe in this case. I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, and I'm not safe. I've identified as really base, foundational, negative beliefs people hold that feed into everything else. So those foundation stones, let's say with the singing shame, is I'm not enough because my voice isn't nice, and I'm not safe when I sing because people were laughing at me on stage. So you have the foundation stones, and then you give yourself a rule for your life. The rule is I shouldn't sing on stage, and I shouldn't sing. But let's say I shouldn't sing on stage or speak on stage because people will laugh and I'll be rejected and ridiculed. So those 2 big stones, they hold the shame in place, and you won't go there. And then throughout the years, so your rule is I shouldn't sing on stage, and then you find more reasons why you shouldn't sing on stage. I'm not entertaining. I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I don't have dope hair. I've not got the equipment, the technical. I don't have the right teacher to teach me. I don't have the right gender or right this, that. All of those 1,000 other beliefs stuck on top of that, building each brick by brick is building a big, massive wall suddenly. And you're like, okay, I'm not singing on stage because I don't have rhythm. I can't sing. My voice is creaky. My accent is bad. So lots of bricks there. And yeah, that is basically the brick wall metaphor, keeping buried feelings really nicely locked in place by root beliefs like I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. And then on top, lots of little reasons why, logical, in inverted commas, logical reasons why I shouldn't sing, I can't sing.
Oh my goodness.
That's how it starts.
It's like funny you're saying all this, and you, I bet everyone who's listening has been like, oh, okay. I can come up with my own examples. Some will literally be singing, others will be, the first time they tried to tell a joke or something, right? And someone said, you're not funny. And for the rest of their days, they were like, I'm not funny, or I'm not pretty, or I'm not whatever, right? And how that can really stick with us forever. I'm almost 50 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And some things that I'm working on is like, bullcaca. I kind of want to swear, but from like when I was little, it's so amazing to me that so much power can stay with us. It can follow us like a current for the rest of our days. So after identifying our limiting beliefs, do you recommend proving them wrong? How does this process work? And what strategies do you suggest for challenging negative thought patterns effectively? The Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the first step would be just take each brick out. So I call that, or the therapy industry calls it cognitive restructuring. That means you're disputing the beliefs, you're disproving the beliefs. So you could say, for example, you say, people laugh at me when I tell a joke. Is this always the case? Maybe one time people laughed. So actually the belief that you're holding, people laugh at me, is not true. So you would just try to disprove all the beliefs. Who taught me this belief? Is this, like I said already, the objective true? Or is it maybe sometimes it doesn't apply? Is my voice objectively really, really bad? Or is it just something that's in my head? And do people hear me differently? And you can ask a lot of questions about this, two questions to disprove the belief. Or you say, I'm too old to sing on stage. Maybe there's people my age who are actually really successful at singing. So all of these can be quite easily disproved. There might be still resistance. So if you're listening and you have the singing example, and it's a common one, you may not dislodge them immediately. You may not say, oh yeah, Gwen, you're right. Actually, this person is a really successful singer at my age. I should also have a chance. So because the buried emotions are still underneath. But what we do is really just talk through it and ask a number of questions that will help you distance. Or for example, this is a bit different about business. I can't run a successful business because I'm a mom. That was really in me. Or, I can't make 10K months consistently because I might get sick. Those kind of things, people telling themselves that you could disprove, because there's lots of moms making lots of cash.
Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to, it's hard. It might be harder. I mean, look, I'm bringing in limiting beliefs because it's so ingrained for me, but it may not even be harder. Maybe they have an easier time than somebody having another problem or another life situation that is difficult. That, you see my how I'm thinking about this. Yeah. So just talking. Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt, so I apologize.
No,
So I was having a conversation with my husband about some kind of limiting belief, and we tracked it back to its origin, like to its source, right? And it was so funny. He said, I don't understand why a person who affects us so young as a child, and then as an adult, you're like, they are complete freaking bananas. They're bozos. They don't have their life in order, like nothing, right? But you still give that bozo power over you because of the thing they said to you once, right? Do you ever notice that when people start looking at where their stuff came from?
Yeah.
That they're like, why is this person who is not the person I want to be, or like, I don't want to be like that person at all. I don't want to live that way. Yeah. Like, why did I let their comment on my behavior or looks or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why do I bring that in? Like, how can we encourage people to be like, look at the source? Or is that just what you do? Look at the source, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the best, of course, if you can trace it back and say, how did I come to this belief? And what I want to say, though, is it's good to ask why and be shocked, but also to acknowledge that and to forgive ourselves for believing that, because obviously the human mind is, the mind doesn't want to think, or the soul doesn't want to feel, oh my God, I did this wrong. I'm really stupid. And then the new thing comes beating themselves up. But what is important to also see that often it's a survival mechanism where you are dependent on this person, or these are you really good little gang in the neighborhood, and what they say is important because ultimately we are tribal beings. We don't want to be cast out. So what we do is, yes, you were right. Yes, I'm going to change myself. It depends.
Oh, wow. I love that, the tribal beings connection, because I think we forget in the world that we live in that we really need each other.
Yes, totally. Totally. And that's why I think we need to really have that compassion once we've picked up something, and just have compassion. And then the subconscious will know, it can tell us more. It doesn't need to, because it won't be told off. But yeah, I'm shocked too. When I think back, I've just thought back at some things that I like, whatever, some little high school bullies or what, they don't matter at all, but it affects you and it can shape you. And it doesn't have to. Sometimes people are in a situation where they've got such a good fallback circle of people and they have such a full life that it doesn't affect them. So it's not a given that if somebody gets a negative comment as a growing up person, that it will affect them, but it can.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
So moving beyond the thinking process, you talk about uncovering and acknowledging the underlying emotions tied to limiting beliefs. Why is accessing the subconscious important? And how can individuals effectively navigate their emotions in this process? Because I think this is probably where a lot of people have a little freak out, right? They're like, oh my gosh, that's always been there. Do I do that? You know what I mean? Is this my defensive mechanism? That's not good. How do we navigate emotions in this process?
Yeah, the subconscious. I mean, it is my favorite topic. It's also on my website. My biggest term people search for is how do I.
Real quick, how can people find your website?
Oh yeah. It's Gwendi Klise. I'm gonna spell it out because it's
yes, please do.
GWENDIKLIS for Sahara.com.
Perfect.
That's my website. So yeah, on that, people, the most common search term is, how do I access my subconscious? So it's a popular question. I love doing it. Actually, as kids, we've already played being unconscious. Somehow somebody, I mean, obviously it never worked, was probably, we tried to breathe in a certain way. I don't know how there was no social media to show us, but it didn't work. But we wanted to do it for sure. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, subconscious, it can really quieten people. I was recently at a talk here in London about dreaming. And I said, I'm going to challenge myself and ask a question. It was a big hall full of 500 people. So I did ask. And there were 3 psychologists, psychiatrists at the front. And I said, what is the connection between dreaming and the subconscious? And they were silent. They didn't know what to say, because obviously the subconscious, my point is, not every psychologist or person working in health will say, yeah, that's a thing. Personally, I believe in it. I think memories get stored somewhere. Dreams come from somewhere. We have collective. If I do a special pose, people will know this is threatening, this is kind, this is. So that is what I speak about when I say subconscious. So as humans, we have a storehouse that's given to us, that we pass on, that we can all access if we want to. We don't have to, but we can. And if we don't, it might come in dreams, or if people do a Freudian slip when they say something wrong accidentally.
Wow. Yeah. I was just thinking, when you said the subconscious being passed on and everything, it's really interesting, because I know in early childhood development studies, they've done studies where children where infants, very young toddlers, will react to body language in cues that don't have words, that don't have sound, and they will react. And it's a primal reaction. Yeah. It's like a protective mechanism. So do you feel that the subconscious also really works to protect us and kind of keep us alive, as primal beings? Or is that just something silly that I'm thinking about?
No. I think the instincts also play into it, now that you're saying it, because I think even dogs can understand if I have an angry face or a happy face. So I guess mammals have that kind of knowledge, but the subconscious definitely, does it protect us? I think it's just like a big, I don't want to call it a dump, but a storehouse of experience. So in that
I
way,
like
yeah.
that. Storage room. Mine's the size of a warehouse.
Or at least, and
Someone
then there's
else's maybe a closet. I don't know.
yeah, no, and we all, I mean, some people, I love this metaphor, and then we all have somewhere in there is a bridge to the universe somewhere. So I think there is something what will that connects us all. I really believe that. I find it fascinating. And yeah, so the subconscious, but you were asking about the emotions and so on. So why we need to get in line with these emotions, because when I explained how to dispute all the thoughts, I'm too old, I'm too young, yes, somebody else who's 17 has done this, and so on, that might be all logical reason. Yeah, okay, I get it. Some other mom has made money, some other person has climbed this mountain, that's cool. But still, the emotion underneath it all doesn't believe it. So that's why we need to go into the subconscious, because we can't fix with the thinking part of our brain. We can't fix the emotions. The emotions need to be fixed with the tribal, the primal, the everything that's in there. And there's, yeah, that, for example, the plants, even plants. Let me just, I think I'm digressing a bit too much, too far into the next topic that I want to speak about, how we process through these emotions. But basically, the emotions in the subconscious, they need to be called or named. So like I said, in this example with the public speaking, the shame, okay, there's shame. Let's just call it that. It's okay. Everybody has it. It has come from maybe from this or that. And now I want to deal with it. So yeah, that basically. So we have that emotion. And then I guess the next thing is, how can we process through it?
Yeah. So once the negative emotions are processed, how do you suggest filling the void with, positive beliefs and emotions? Is it really a matter of changing how we speak to ourselves? Like I always say to our students when I'm talking about like confidence and getting their businesses started and stuff. And, I'm like, hey, you don't need to shit talk yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to take that from other people, because when push comes to shove, right? I don't care where you are out in the world. No one can be as mean to you as you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how do we help people? How do you help people reinforce these new and empowering beliefs?
Yeah. Let's go though. I want to cycle back a little bit to the processing again. Yeah, because also, so what I guess I was digressing a bit, but what I wanted to say is that, so we have this emotion, and there's a few ways the subconscious will understand. So that can be with hypnotherapy, it can be with dream work, it can be with movement, just going for a walk, or a voice, using your voice, sounding, shouting in the wind. So once you have this emotion, art therapy or just doing art, scribbling, just like that, letting the body. So it can be really something people call rage dancing. So do all the things that are based on the senses, the smell. You could do the voice, feeling. All of those will help access the subconscious. And what I sometimes like to do when, for example, gardening, I don't know. I also think plants maybe probably help with the subconscious in a way. Even in a really easy example, I had a lots of hedges everywhere, and I had to take them out. And I thought, oh, these are all digging up my limiting beliefs, and it felt really good. So I had all these big piles of everything, and it was good to take it away to the dump. And even in kind of work symbols, I guess that was for me a symbol, and I've just said this is a symbol now for my limiting beliefs. I'm getting them out. So basically the subconscious speaks in metaphors, symbols, and anything that's body based, and I would say nature is part of that as well. So that's how you could process. If you want to process something, process it through that. Not only, most people would journal if they do it, but that again is just the brain work. But anything like breath work or a good jog or rage dancing, that will help you get it out. Yeah.
I'm a big swimmer with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I get in and I swim, and I can be mad, and I rage swim.
Yes.
I
Yes.
spent most of COVID rage swimming.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. Yes.
I was 12 hours from my children who are grown, and I couldn't see them. So, I was rage swimming big time. So I think that it's good that I'm going to have to check out rage dancing and get some music on. And, I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds like my new sport: rage swimming, rage dancing. I'm going to the Rage Olympics. So
I love that. Yes. It helps. It helps. That anyway, wanted to encourage anyone who has discovered this emotion, find ways to process through it. And again, on my website, I've written blogs about it, but this is the way to get it out of your system. And then what you were asking in the next step, or the almost last step, is, okay, I've created this vacuum. I've released all the emotions that were charged so high that they were giving me so much pressure, and I've released the thinking. And of course, I'm never expecting that everything is cleared and completely cleansed, because this is always, we're humans, we're always feeling a little bit of, oh, this isn't good. But then immediately when you catch yourself, okay, no, I'm rephrasing this. How can I learn? How can I do it better? How is this maybe not a big deal? And so on. But the next step is to build the new persona. And there I really feel the embodying is important. So let's say the person who wants to present to the group really in a relaxed manner, at ease, and in a way that everybody learns, says, takes on the new persona of what would this person do if they were this person who does this. So they would probably really focus on the audience as well, and take in their feedback, and not try to be only right and not make a mistake. They would just be very open to the exchange and passionate, and just leaning into the feeling of, I love this topic and I want to tell everybody about it. So that's how you could lean into in a behavior way. Or you say, oh, I want to make my 10K consistent month. What does this person do? They probably work slightly differently than you are at the moment. So you could look at that and embody that, and say, this person would make a sales call and be really happy about the sales call, and say, listen, I'm offering something good to someone, and that's great. If they want it, they can have it. If they don't need it, that's absolutely cool. Maybe they want it soon, in 3 months, maybe never. So get into that person. And how do we do that? Firstly, by, I guess, getting really in the thinking about it. So saying, yeah, this person would try to learn from experiences, would try to be positive and see that, and so on. And I would recommend change your environment a bit. How would this person live? Maybe it's time for a declutter a little bit. I mean, I don't want to go into these always cliche topics, but maybe that person makes their bed every morning, even things like that. I mean, this is tiny, but it sends a signal to the subconscious again, because you realize that subconscious notices, I'm tidying this up, I'm taking care of my environment, taking care of my files, or my workbook that I'm writing. And I like also, in terms of plants, of course, it's probably nice to have nice scents of plants, or nice, just having, I don't know, I love plants, actually. I'm just sitting here looking at my balcony plants. But so embody the whole thing, use your 5 senses again. Maybe a perfume will remind you. Maybe you can even take a little talisman. And I'm a person, for example, if I have this ring here, I say, oh, this is now my ring that embodies this. If I ever lose the ring, I know for myself, I can to take another object and give that the power. I would
so you're talking like anchoring, like helping people anchor. I love that. I do that. So I do that myself. Like I even have positive affirmations written on my mirror at times, or I always have certain things with me. Just, I don't know, it just helps me feel grounded if I feel out of sorts or whatever. I know I have like I have like a rock in my purse that like one of my kids gave me when they were like 2. It doesn't have to be anything like spectacular. But I'm a believer in anchoring, and I'm a believer in decluttering too. And it's easy for herbalists to get cluttered space. We need jars and herbs and containers and notebooks. And so I really think that I love that you brought up decluttering, because I think that that's really a good place, like, because my profession can be so cluttered. I probably have like 35 notebooks stacked on my desk, and not a joke. So I actually have a 8-foot long dining room table.
Wow.
As my desk, because I need to have space around me and not have it be cluttered. So I love that you say that. So where can people learn more and work with you, or connect with things that you're offering? Like, how can people find you? I know you gave out your URL, so I'm going to ask you to do that again, but like, just where can they get to you?
Yeah, so my website for sure, because I blog on there and I share quite a lot. So that's GwendyKlise.com, GwendiKlisa.com. And thank you for asking, by the way. I'm always very happy to, of course, share and help people and connect with people. So reach out to me, anyone, if you have questions. And I'm on Instagram, Gwendy Klise. And I've got a new thing, a limiting beliefs blaster. It's a free mini course where, I guess I take you through to on a more detailed level about what I've spoken about today. And that you can find at the moment. It's on a link at bit.ly, /, and then with a capital limiting, next word, same, no spaces, beliefs, also with a capital, and then blaster with a capital again. Bit.ly.
Oh, I love that.
So that there, if you sign up there, you will get it. At the moment, it's in email format, email every few days with the next step. And I go like quite into detail as change one belief and then go and let's do that kind of thing.
I love that it comes via email, because it's like, it really takes no effort. Everybody opens their email on their phone, like, on their commute, or, in the morning when they're having their tea or their coffee or whatever. And it's like, it's so easy when things come via email. I love when I can just like enjoy a quick email and I can say, okay, I'm going to save this in a folder because I'm coming back to it, or, okay, I got what I needed from it. I love that. I love that that's available to people. I think it's really cool that you're offering, this free course. I am a big believer that you would definitely be worth paying for. So
yes, it is. I mean, I got to be honest. It definitely is. But I like to make it available because it will help people, and it does help people. It's part of what I do with my clients, and I want it to be out there, because I hear so often. I do it myself, but if you pay attention, or everybody listening, next time you're speaking to someone, pay attention when they say, I can't. This is too, I can't, and so on. All these kind of things they're saying, why something, they can't do something. And then just listen out to that, because we do that all the time. So I don't want people to fall into that trap anymore, basically.
I love that.
So I am really happy. Thank you so much to be on this podcast, Demetria.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate your time. And everyone, I'm going to also have the links in the bio for the podcast. So you'll be able to connect with any links. You guys know that you can also email me always, and I can send you any links that you've heard on the show. We'll also, when the podcast comes out, we'll have all the information on our Facebook page too. So people can go over there when you hear this and find any of the links that you need. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I've had so much fun with you today, and I've learned so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Same. Thank you, Demetria.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Interested in learning more? Visit heartofherbs.com and enroll using coupon code PODCAST to save 20%. The content provided in this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, It's always recommended to consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or health regime, especially if you have an existing health condition. Any of the financial information and advice for starting or maintaining an herbal business is just that, information. It's not used to be a guideline on how you should run your business. Contact the appropriate professionals to help you to have a successful business.